Hi, I'm Danny Barnts. I'm with the CCAA, and we're going through and doing a preview of the CCAA 2022-23 women's basketball schedule. I'm joined today by Tosh Smith from San Francisco State, going to give us a little preview of the Gators. Thanks for joining me today, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's
Well,
exciting season.
well, fantastic. You guys are already 6 games into your season, have one CCAA game under your belt. But let's just talk a little bit about your team this year. This is a unique point in the interview because you are a little ways into your team into the year. But what have you learned about your team that maybe you didn't expect for your team coming into training camp and stuff?
I would say one of the biggest things that has been like surprising and I learned about them is how much they actually care about. Like I know that I care because I played in the conference and what this means to me to have this opportunity at San Francisco State. But seeing their buy-in to wanting to leave their mark and make history on this journey, like that has been a kind of a surprising thing, and I feel like they're sacrificing for one another and trying their best to get to we at the by the time we're at the end of the season, which is really it feels really good as a coach.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Um, what do you consider some of the strengths of your team? Maybe if another coach was scouting you, what would be some of the strengths that they would see from your team?
I think that we have something like an underdog mentality, which is a great strength because with us having 12 players on our team, five being new, eight being underclassmen, I think that that alone is a big strength because you have some young and hungry kids that don't quite, in the most respectful way, don't respect other teams. And I, because they don't really have an idea of who some of these teams are and how you should be maybe on your toes a little bit more. Instead, they're in this mode of proving themselves right. That's a huge.
No, that's fantastic. I like that you talk about the depth of your team, that is not just about one or two players doing it. And when I look through your roster, those are the couple things that stood out to me on there. The team effort out there on defense. To this
Mhm.
point of the season, you guys have given up only 56 points a game. Can you tell me, maybe not the secrets of your defense, but
Right,
just
right.
what efforts you guys are making on that end of the court?
Well, it's one of the things that you can control the most with all facets of the game. We can't control if shots go in and things of that nature, but we can control our effort and our togetherness. And it just goes with our values that we set with our goals, which is we want to make sure that we're expressing gratitude, that we show resilience, we give exceptional effort, we have the right attitude, and we stay together. So in our journey of being great, it reminds us of those things on defense. Like we appreciate everybody being able to trust each other and be there for each other, and that's really tough to do, especially in the CCAA, as you already know. So that's just we instill it every day, and we talk about it even when it's challenging. The girls they just step up to it. So there's no secret to it outside of that, wanting to be good at defense.
No, thank you. The
Yeah.
other thing that I thought was interesting to talk about is stepping up and kind of the togetherness you're talking about on defense. I
Mhm.
know this might not always be the case, but I'm kind of seeing that when I look through your offensive stats as well. Four of your five starters are averaging basically 10 points a game, and six players are averaging 8 points a game. Can you just tell me about the collective effort and that it seems that you present a lot of scoring options out there?
Right. It goes hand in hand with our values, though. I think that's why, and it's you asked me about what have I learned about our team, and I said the biggest thing is their buy-in, and they're buying into what we value, and the togetherness is that last piece, and it shows offensively. Like it doesn't matter who scores, and if anyone scores, like our leading scorer can have 5 points, and as long as somebody else steps up and we handle business defensively, then we could feel really good about ourselves. And that's still like one of those tough things to navigate and get through because with having so many young players, they do care about scoring. Like we can't deny that. But uh, but when you put a scouting report up that has six players that potentially could score double digits, that makes for your scoring opportunities to become even broader because the floor is going to open up for you to just be able to show what you have to offer as a basketball player offensively. And I think when you see players like Maya Blake and Tiara Snipes, you see a fun brand of basketball. Like they're just exciting to watch when we sometimes just let them go.
So you talked to me about the scouting thing. You mentioned right there, if somebody were to out there scouting, if let's say a fan or a parent were to come in, watch a couple games from you, what would you want them to be? What would you want the identity of your team to be that parent or fan or somebody scouting your team would look at your team to be?
That we're tough and unselfish. And when you put that together, that toughness and unselfishness, you get togetherness and unity, like people that care about one another and they respect the game.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Coach, let's be honest. You talked about you having a kind of a young squad, them maybe learning as they go a little bit on there.
Mhm.
We know everybody sets different goals, and you don't have to lay out the goals that you've maybe talked about with your ladies or anything like that. But what are some of the things you're hoping to accomplish during the CCA season coming up, and what would you like when we look back at the beginning of March that you hoped your team accomplished over these next 2 or 3 months? 3 months.
Well, I can just be transparent with you. Our goal is to make history at San Francisco State, and it doesn't matter what that history looks like. There hasn't been a lot written about San Francisco State women's basketball, so we are very intentional and making them mindful of the milestones that we come across. Like since being in the CCAA, there hasn't been a team that has won 15 games, right? So if we were to make it to the NCAA tournament, and that like by any means, we would feel like thrilled with ourselves, like we won a national championship, because that's some unseen stuff, and it takes a special amount of people in a group to come together and believe something that no one else could like possibly think is real, like something that people would laugh at, that we come together and truly believe in. So when you see us at times, you might see like some serious faces that are locked in. And that's why, because, I can't, I don't want to say the wrong words, but it's like being peed off for greatness.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you giving a little bit of insight on that one. Like you said, great to have high expectations and belief in something. Because if you don't believe it, it's hard to really have anybody else believe in it. So
Yeah.
very impressive
Exactly.
to hear that mentality that you have right there.
Exactly. It's going to be tough. Like, our conference is great. So
And you have some tough tests coming up this week when you guys host a couple tough teams too. You guys will be coming up facing San Bernardino and Cal Poly Pomona at home. You are 3-0 at home right now. Tell me a little bit about just the importance of in the CCA season of trying to defend that home court, because we understand that, as you mentioned, each win is very important.
Well, our whole mindset going into this year is about making sure that we treat every game like it's the last game. It's the most important game of the season. So we can't worry about Cal Poly Pomona because we have San Bernardino on Thursday. But I'm trying to get our team to also believe in how great we actually are, because I can believe it all day, where I think that we have the best point guard in the conference. I feel like we have one of the best shooters, two of the best shooters in the conference. And I feel like we have one of the most premier post presence in the conference with a freshman. So when you put those things together and you hop on the floor, it's not about the disadvantages that your eyes see. Like we have a distinct height advantage versus most teams, but the intangible things like that togetherness and the toughness and willingness to leave it all on the floor for one another is what I feel like really separates us.
Well, fantastic. It should be a very fun season then coming up.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we still got a lot of games left. You guys only have one game under your belt. But like I said, I'm not jumping ahead, but there are 2 games on the CCA schedule for you this week. So, Coach Tosh, just thank you very much for just giving us some great insight and some great information on your team. This should be a fun CCA conference schedule this year. And like you said, we hope to see the San Francisco State team accomplish some history book making performances this year and see where those postseason possible hopes go.
Right. I appreciate you, Danny.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Coach.